This is Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games.
And Corey Thompson from all sorts of stuff.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 365, and we are recording from around the globe on April 17th, 2025. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. Gentlemen, from the South China Sea, Stephen Bonacore comes to you live. Corey Thompson in Niagara Falls, New York, and Ignacy Trzewiczek from Poland. It's so good to see
Center
you
of the
guys.
optimistic universe.
If we wait, I think 3 more hours with this recording, we would be recording on 17th and 18th because of the.
Yes,
I think Steven will be already tomorrow, right?
that is absolutely right. In 3 hours, in 2.5 hours from now, I'll be
Yeah,
April 18th.
but he
It's
turns into a pumpkin if we keep him
yeah.
up too late.
So we'll talk more about why this is happening, but you should know about that due to our craziness. Ignacy, take us into some real information about what is happening at Portal Games.
News of the week: we have not won Golden Geek Award nomination.
Not yet.
You listeners
Oh,
failed us again. The podcast will not win Golden Geek this year. We need to once again wait the whole year.
We
But
weren't nominated?
no,
Oh,
no, that's terrible. Yeah. Sorry
terrible.
with
we
this
are
grim
so
Slavic news at the
humble that
beginning. On a serious note, yesterday we started the Race to Berlin campaign. I mentioned this many times over the upcoming past weeks. So yes, it started. And before I go further, let's move already to the next segment because I created a new segment in this podcast. I don't know how long it will take or last. Hopefully not 5 years. The new segment is how Donald Trump affects Portal Games. Mm, and this is I want to make it
I'm
with a
guessing it's
little bit of
going well.
it's, it's going amazing. So the good news after I recorded my previous vlog on Portal Games YouTube channel, it was a record in terms of the views. The title of the vlog was "If Trump will put Portal Games out of the business." We had over 2,000 views on this vlog. So
Wow.
this is how Donald Trump helps Portal Games. Besides, he's not helping too much. But I want to make it with a Slavic but smile. So this is not whining, this is not complaining, this is just giving you the report of the situation. So the first news is Bohemians, our SN release was sent to print, all the files ready, sent to print. How it was infected by the whole situation with tariffs, we decided to print only 60% of the planned print run. Like we decided we cannot afford the print run that we planned because of the tariffs and the additional costs and uncertainty of upcoming situation. So how he affects us, we are going to print much less games of Bohemians, but will be printed. We send it to print. We are just lowering the volume because we are a little bit concerned about this. Then we have a Race to Berlin campaign. As I said, it started yesterday, and we decided to not provide shipping to American backers because we have no clue what will be the tariff and the shipping cost when the game will be produced. So we decided that we will do the special pledge, $1 pledge for the American players, so they can be in game, they can be in the loop, they can be having access to the pledge manager later on if situation somehow clarifies. But at this point, of course, we cannot be a reasonable company and take money from American players and having no freaking clue what will be the shipping cost when the game will produce. So this is how we are affected by these tariff situations because obviously we have much less backers than we expected
Wow.
from America because of course players are not happy to back something and not knowing what will be the shipping in the end. And the last piece of news in this section is Age of Galaxy. The Age of Galaxy is ready, printed in China. And at this point, we asked the manufacturer to wait a couple of days and not prepare shipping to America. Like at this point, as we will report in a few moments, the tariffs are 245% on items from
Now
China.
it
So
was 245 was actually a misspeak from Trump.
Shh, shh.
He spoke before it was added up, so it's 145. But
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I'm not sure, but whatever. At this point, we decided that we
unless
are
you're selling
not comfortable
syringes,
with shipping to America. So the game is printed, but it is waiting in China to
yeah,
see what will happen. So on one hand, the good news, game sent to print, Kickstarter's game fund started, and the other game is printed, but actually there is lots of mess around that. Besides that, I'm in a quite good mood. Of course, as I already posted on Facebook, I decided to cancel my trip to Canada, to Niagara Falls, and of course to America. Corey is there. I won't be there, unfortunately. And I posted on my private personal Facebook account that I'm not coming because of the situation in America right now, and probably both of you already saw like 80 comments of different people and many of European industry friends saying that they are not coming to either Niagara
yeah,
Falls, either Gen Con. It's terrible. I think we will cover it later this year, especially that Corey is now part of the Gen Con, that it will be a very, very weird impact on the global politics that many people from Europe will not visit Gen Con this year, which is terrible. Anyway, I'm not whining. I'm happy. If you watch Podfather Gaming YouTube channel, you see I'm smiling.
He's
These are
smiling.
just small turbulences, but basically we will be hopefully at some point fine.
wow, wow. Well, my goal is to make both Stephen and Ignacy feel bad for not being here. This is my
I'm
goal. I
already
mean,
feeling that.
you have the Slavic realistic pessimism. I have the East Coast Jewish guilt-giving, man, don't you wish you were me? So, first of all, I had an absolutely wonderful get together with friends, the Chappies, who brought about 15 people over the house. We had an amazing weekend of board gaming. One of the gamers was a brewer and got us inside Russian River, where we got access to beers that normally you don't have access to. So we had Pliny the Younger, which is unobtainable. Just want to throw
Unobtainable
that,
beer.
just want to throw that in for Steven.
Yes. Thank you,
Had
Corey.
a
Appreciate it.
few other unobtainable, but having no beer expert, not being a beer expert, I don't remember what the other unobtainable beers were. I'm sure they were very good. They tasted like beer.
I really hate you right now. However,
I know.
I've got my
I'm
own
But
and
lovely
I'm
things
really
happening.
smiling.
but now I'm at Gathering of Friends where I brought for Ignacy this,
Oh,
Oh,
see, you have to watch
and
the
not
Podfather
only did
channel
I
and you can see
bring
this.
this giant thing
oh
of
my God.
absolutely massive cookies.
You are a mean person, Corey.
This is a 2 pound box, and I have three of these boxes here.
1 kilo of cookies, and you're not having him, Ignacy.
Absolutely massive amounts of cookies. So now that you both feel bad, I am currently at the Gathering of Friends and really looking forward to it. I've been here, I got in late yesterday, already ran into Eric Lang, Tim Medivier, Martin Wallace, and everybody's relatively excited. I am really sad. It's going to be a strange gathering because, like you said, a lot of people from
Yeah.
Europe aren't coming. Just heard that good friend Uli at
Uli,
Spielworks
Uli
is
Blenneman, a
not
good friend of
coming.
the show, he's not going to be there either.
And I was so looking forward to visiting with you, Ignacy, with Uli. It's going to be different. It's definitely going to be different. So today is gearing up for actual gathering. Also, I get to debut my new corn-oriented business card
What?
that just says Corey Thompson,
Why is
board game enthusiast.
why is this corn oriented?
Oh, because I'm always wearing the corn shirt, man.
But there's no corn on your business card.
There was, the background has
Oh,
very, very faint corn.
okay, we could not see that on the video.
Oh, I know the video is not great. If you were here, you'd see it. You'd go, wow, what a cool card. So Anyway,
And
that's what's been up here, running around
all
like
right.
crazy, jumping house to house, and
Yeah.
finally arriving in New York.
Thank you. We're
So,
very
Stephen, I hear you're on a fishing boat in
I'm
Hoboken.
on a little boat bobbing in the South China Sea. Yes, over here at the Podfather of Gaming mobile office. I'm on an epic cruise. Quicks Games. This is Jeff Anderson's company he runs BGG at Sea, BGG Con. He runs the Podfather cruise. He's an amazing organizer of events. So Jeff organized this ridiculous cruise starting in Singapore. And then when we spent a few days, and then it's going to port in Vietnam. We were just there. Hong Kong tomorrow, South Korea, Taiwan, Tokyo, and then we stay on the ship for
Wow.
another leg, 3 ports north in Japan, and finally go trans-Pacific back to Seattle. This entire adventure is like 30 days, 27 nights at sea. Ignacy said I look tired. Yeah,
Wow.
man, I'm tired. But I'm having an epically fun time. And you can see me in this is my what do they call it? Tropical night shirt. It's Podfather colors, but tonight they always have theme nights on the cruise ships. So this is the tropical night. So I have my tropical shirt on, and we're having a great time. We're gaming, obviously, right? This is a gaming cruise for about 100 people. We are hitting all the ports. I am having the most amazing time eating all the local cuisines, and that to me is part of the incredible thing about travel, to immerse yourself in the culture and in the cuisines, especially the part that you can really partake of, and just having a great time. If anybody wants to follow this on Facebook, I'm literally posting one time, sometimes a little bit more per day, with what I did on that day. The port visits are the cooler part. When I'm on the ship just sailing, it's like, okay, I played some games, had some beer in the pub, not so much to talk about. But when we're on a port, we're really talking about, what's going on in Vietnam tomorrow, what's happening in Hong Kong. So check out my personal Facebook timeline, and you can see the whole thing as I document it for the next almost 4 weeks. It's incredible. But now we have so much news to talk about. Let's get over to the event deck. All right, guys. I don't even know where to start with all of the news, but of course,
There's so
tariffs,
much news.
tariffs, and tariffs. And I think you spelled tariffs wrong here, Corey. But GAMA made a statement on
I
tariffs.
didn't put that.
I think you put this, whatever. GAMA made a statement on tariffs, and we'll go into this briefly. Literally, we can talk for 2 hours on the tariff news, on some existential problems in the industry, on bankruptcies. We'll try to hit the highlights here and keep you guys posted on what's happening, plus our views on it. So the first thing, GAMA press release. GAMA opposes the new 54% tariff on Chinese goods. This was at the time the additional 54, which is a threat to the U.S. economy and the tabletop industry. The latest imposition of a new tariff on products from China by the administration is dire news for the tabletop industry and the broader U.S. economy. As an industry highly dependent on producing goods overseas and importing them into the U.S., this policy will have devastating consequences. Tariffs are essentially taxes on consumers, not on the countries where the products are produced. Publishers would be forced to pass these costs along to the consumers or face the prospect of ceasing operations. Nearly a third of all U.S. consumer goods, including clothes, food products, appliances, cars, entertainment items like games, are imported. This means higher prices across the board for all products, and will need to increase products to compensate for these new Trump taxes. And that's what they are, guys. They are taxes on you. So GAMA is just restating for all of us, and they're also attempting to do lobbying work, and they're working with the toy industry, which has a bigger footprint into lobbying
Yeah.
than us in the game industry. So I
And it
applaud GAMA for trying to help.
Gamma has listed all the actions that they're actually going to do towards this. And it's things that we've talked about already. They have media outreach. So they've been reaching out to CNN, the Time, Washington Times, Reason Magazine, the Bulwark. They've been networking with other trade groups, including the Toy Association, Toy Coalition, National Retail Association, and specialty groups about zero tariff and tariffs for the heartland. They are lobbying for HTS exemption. So basically seeking out exemption for goods that are not produced in the US. And of course, they're doing direct engagement with congressional leaders. In short, they are trying, they are doing what they can do, which is great.
Which of course, that's the basic purpose of any trade organization, right? They have to represent everybody. Back in the day, it was only publishers, but now GAMA represents the entire tiered structure of the industry. So
Yeah.
fortunately, they can start to do some of this stuff for everybody.
Now we
Yeah,
had led into that. Oh, sorry.
no, I just wanted to say because this news from Gamma, this is from the newsletter. There was me who was posting it here. That's why there was misspelling. Sorry, but I was complaining on Gamma for many years before. But here I absolutely feel that I have an organization who's doing their best. So basically, I am informed that they are trying to do something. I get this newsletter with the point
Yeah.
what they try to do. I don't believe that they will convince Mr. Trump to change his mind, but at least I see that something is in the
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with the current GAMA administration. I think they're doing better than they have in the past. We
They can.
mentioned briefly that GAMA's reaching out to CNN, and this leads us to our next story along tariffs. The president, person who runs Cepholfair is Price Johnson, and he was interviewed on CNN about the tariff situation. So more things we know, more doom and gloom. This is COO Price Johnson told CNN that Cepholfair currently has about $1.2 million in games sitting unshipped. So it's they're waiting to see what the costs are, and the costs can be ridiculous. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars that they will owe in tariffs just to have their already paid for goods brought across, just extra taxes. So it's about 60,000 total units of a completed print run that will not make it to the US unless the tariff situation changes.
Yeah, just think about that for a second. So they've produced, I believe, the 1.2 million is the cost of the units sitting
Yeah.
in China. If they brought it over right now with the current 145% tariff as we speak, that I believe would be the number they'd be charged. They would then have to pay approximately 2.2
I think this is
million.
production costs that they're talking about. It's
Right.
25 40-foot containers.
Right.
So it's
So
at least several $100,000 they will be taxed upon.
no. If it's 1.2 million in
145.
cost sitting in China, they would then have to pay
I
approximately
think the
2 million.
I think the 1.2 million is final consumer costs that they're talking about.
Okay, well, I
For how
didn't.
much they have stranded in China.
I
That's
mean, if
what I'm
that's
saying.
if that's like an MSRP, that's a different story. But in either
Yeah, it's
case,
bad either way around.
it's an incredibly high number that,
Yeah,
Cephalfair
so
is a fairly large
Price was
company.
quoted in saying, real world math. When tariffs are 145%, this means if our production cost was 100,000 with the factory, that means when we ship the goods to the USA and they arrive at port, we must pay an additional $145,000 to the US government so
Yeah.
that we can just have the goods enter the country.
Now, I'm pretty sure that it's not, because you just mentioned, how many containers did you mention? 10 containers?
40,
40. If it's 40 containers, I'm pretty sure that that's 1.2 million in cost
I
sitting
agree.
Oh
there.
my.
40 containers
I agree.
is not
I'm sorry,
$100,000.
it is 25 40-foot containers.
Right. So that's they're called 40, little stuff for our background for our listeners. They're called 40-foot FCLs, full container loads. That's your standard size container when you ship. 40. Nobody brings 40 containers over
This is
unless you're a
25,
darn
25 containers.
Sorry, 25 containers. Unless you're a fairly large company, and Cepholfair is that kind of company because they're
Yep.
shipping tremendous amount of games that happen to be very large, right? Right, the Frosthavens and Gloomhavens. So we're talking, I bet, if we looked at this a little deeper, 1.2 million cost, which would then mean they have to pay $2 million plus to the U.S. government just to bring them in. And guess who's going to end up paying that? That is you, the gamer, the consumer. This is a
Yep.
tax directly on you in the
And I
end.
apologize. We have so much news. I'm going to keep pushing forward to the next news story.
However, Corey, you have
On
to.
one hand, yes. On one hand, we can push. Yes, yes. Sorry. On one hand, we can push, but on the other hand, I think it is important that we explain customers
Oh
what's
yeah.
happening very clearly, because in a moment you will see a ton of smart asses complaining on publishers, doing troll posting and hate posts that publishers are dumb or delaying products, or why there is new game at the Gen Con and why they are so stupid because the society is not educated enough. So like the whole point of this podcast is to explain very clearly. So once again, first of all, these 25 containers, this is 1 million of probably production cost. So yes, they have to pay additional $1.5 million to the tax. And this is why, for instance, me, in the beginning of the whole podcast, I said that we have Age of Galaxy produced and we are not shipping it because we cannot afford this. So people have to understand that this Gen Con we'll have a lot of publishers who will not have a new release, and we need players to understand why, because publishers were not able to pay for that. We had
Right.
last week president of Hachette, Tiffany. We know Tiffany, all of us, very well, and
Hmm.
she was posting on her official profile, it's better for me to dump the items in China than bring them to the America. This is where we are. And as we are, of course, these past the days on a constant calls with China due to the production, we have feedback that lots of publishers, I guess American publishers, they didn't give me names, but they give me like a general description, are canceling orders or lowering the orders in a very significant volume. Like everybody is either canceling production, either lowering because we cannot afford that.
Yeah.
People need to understand it.
Yep. And Corey, I know you want to move forward, but I have to in the show notes, I have to move back just a second because the story
Sure.
that we have that we just passed right over about that the tariffs are going to mean fewer games, higher prices, and smaller print runs. This thing comes out of Cardboard Edison. Now, Cardboard Edison is a group that runs an awards, but they also have contacts with lots and lots of publishers, and they did a survey
Yeah.
of board game publishers on tariffs. So this is actual data that they're now providing back out to everybody. And let me read some of this stuff. Board game design studio and website Cardboard Edison surveyed 350 board game publishers in their database on the impact of the new China tariffs on their future plans and received responses from 61 publishers that manufactured all or some of their games in China. The respondents include 27 small publishers, 10 games or less released, 20 medium publishers, 10 to 49 titles, and 4 large publishers with 50 or more released titles. The survey was conducted from April 9th to the 11th, so this is pretty recent, only about a week old, while tariffs were above 100% on the move. Among the results were a number of indicators from what the board and card game businesses will look like for the trade going forward. 62% of the board game publishers that responded said that they will reduce the number of releases that they have planned. 90% of the board game publishers said they will raise prices. 2/3 said they will shrink print runs, and over half said they are delaying products, with some indicating that they will store products already manufactured in China, hoping for a change in the situation. So this now goes from like, with that, something's happening, and companies will do something, to like everybody is reacting very seriously to what's happening here. And I'm going to say to you guys, this is very, very serious. And I'm going to make
Yeah.
this statement. This is an existential problem for this industry. People will survive, but
Yeah.
many will not.
I think I'm going to say in the next 2 months, we're going to hear at least 4 larger publishers fold.
I agree with that statement. It's
If I
going to be
may,
bad.
once again, to follow up to, without going to the details, because some of these are just talks, some of them are just small posts. But first of all, one of the manufacturers send out information to the publisher they work with that they offer the new feature air quotes, a feature that publishers can store their product and this manufacturer so they can wait for the situation to clear up. So now we have a manufacturer in China who is changing to the warehousing company
Yeah.
to help publishers survive. So this is how weird and insane times we are. And the other big of news that I have is that one of the biggest retailers is now already in talks with the publishers because they already see they will not have a new product on the shelves later this year. So they are now checking different options what they can put on the shelves because they already understand there will be no new titles later this year for the show. So there is lots of very weird things happening, and as Steven said, it is much more serious than the gamers may suspect.
Absolutely, absolutely true. One of the items that came up that maybe RPGs, books, would not be subject to tariffs is
Because
actually not
standard
true.
books are not subject.
Right. It's very interesting. A standard book, a piece of fiction or a piece of nonfiction that is shipped, printed China, that would not be subject specifically. However, RPGs are different, and apparently they are going to be subject to tariffs. So not even that part of the industry is going to be immune to this. Interesting
This
little
is from an
tidbit.
ICV2
Yeah.
story.
We'd like to point out again, we'd like to call out that many of these stories are from ICV2. Thank you to them for continuing to follow up and giving us the ability to comment on a lot of these things. Thank you,
Yeah.
ICV2.com. Corey, you had mentioned GAMA was listing actions that that
I had
people
actually
can
jumped
do.
ahead. We did this news story
We did it
because we were already talking about Gamma's response. So I think the Gamma response was twice in our script. So
twice.
we already talked about Gamma's response. Um, Individual publishers are putting responses on a lot of their crowdfunding projects. So HEXplore it on GameFound has put up a statement with tariff response. And then I think one of you guys put it up. Did you want to go after it?
I did not. I did not put this one up. Was this one Ignacio's? Did you put HEXplore it
Yes, I
up?
put it. I put it. Yes, I put it. They said that they are not in financial position right now to accept refunds because, of course, when you are a creator, there are some backers who will decide, oh, actually, I have
Yeah,
to bail out because situation changed, because whatever, and I want to cancel my pledge and get the refund for various reasons. We do it all. Every creator does it. I have it also in my previous project that some people will say, actually, I have to back out from the thing. And Hex Explore said we are not in position to accept this. We don't have money right now, so you are not able to refund the campaign. So this is one of the small steps that we are discussing that companies will have a deep troubles right now.
and I think what this leads into is the biggest news that's hit recently, that the publisher Final Frontier has put a response to the high tariffs. And Final Frontier's response is a little more dire. Uh, Final Frontier is the publisher of Merchants Cove and Coloma, and they have ongoing right now campaigns for a Coloma second edition and an expansion for Merchants Cove. And they pretty much in no uncertain terms have said that they are going to be folding the company. They are in dire straits. Um, the ongoing costs just are not anything they can keep up with. They have an unplanned bill of more than $350,000 for shipping and tariffs at this point. And they have been a pretty successful company with high end Kickstarters. What's really interesting about the Final Frontier statement is they are saying the final nail in the business coffin for Final Frontier is that Cool Mini, who does a lot of business other than their own games, they do a lot of localization and logistics. They have not paid for a fairly large, in quotes, order for a Chinese localization of Merchant's Cove, and they have gone ghost. They are not answering communications. With the unpaid bill, Final Frontier Games cannot continue.
Yeah, this is a really interesting story from Final Fantasy. You never know what a contract, a B2B contract entails, right?
Yeah,
So
and I'm
let's
trying
not,
to treat it with a grain of
yeah,
salt.
no, right. But Final Frontier is pretty transparent here. They're saying that they had a contract with CMON. CMON agreed to buy X number of units of their games, 50% in the beginning and 50% on delivery. CMON came back at one point and said, nope, we're paying for it, only paying for it once we get the games at 100% and then pay 100% of the bill. And now, when they're about to go print the games, radio silence. CMON is not replying to this very small company. And that is very distressing that all of a sudden they're just stepping back from this. I was really taken aback. Final Frontier was they were not angry in their statement, but they're saying
They
this is the
stated over
final.
and over that there were a lot of problems,
Right,
tariffs, shipping, even internal. But the final nail was this unpaid bill, they said, from CMON.
right. So we need to do more investigation on what's happening, in this general thing. This kind of leads us into another CMON story. Remember, this is CMON, now the one of the top three largest companies in the hobby game board gaming industry. Their former COO, David Preti, who stepped down from that role 7 months ago, and then took on a role of non-executive director. So he's a board of directors member without, direct influence on the daily operations of the company. He is now leaving the company completely, leaving the director's role
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
new this week.
Right.
In a
Go ahead,
Yeah, and
Corey.
we have to throw out there that in mid-March, CMON released a statement that they could be facing losses of more than $2 million across 2024.
Right. We had reported on that already. Um, so that's a very interesting statement because we have one, David Preti leaving previously, leaving again. Final Frontier Games not being paid by CMON, and CMON's own admission that they are losing money in their final books for 2024 in the order of $2 million approximately. They have not gotten their final books in order yet, and in fact, that created a halt of their trading on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So all of these things are very interesting and very odd for such a large company. And Board Games Insider is going to continue following up with them to discuss and to see if they would like to comment on this. Moving out of CMON news and now into something with Steve Jackson Games. Their CEO, Meredith Placco, is resigning as the CEO of Steve Jackson Games.
Wait. We
What?
have one positive news. Let's do, or you
Please.
missed it.
We need positive news, Ignacy.
We
Be
need
our
it
positive
from
person.
be our
I prepared
positive,
one positive
optimistic
news.
Slavic journalist.
Yes, I have one positive news.
Yes.
We go with it?
Yeah, what do you
Yes,
got?
please.
What do you got?
French government released the survivor brochure in case of the war because global politics and Russia and Ukraine. But there is a good news in this grim
I
beginning.
I actually
In
clicked
this
I clicked
brochure,
on I clicked on the news story, but it was in Portuguese. I couldn't read it.
yeah, because
If
I
only
learned this
every
news when I was
computer
in
has auto
Leiracon.
translate.
Yeah, I learned this when I was in Leiracon
I
in
can read it.
Portugal. So please read it because it starts. It's very grim because it's a brochure for the war, but then it gets better because there is some board games involved.
All right, Corey, please take this one away. I can't. Okay, I translated it and it still is in Portuguese on my screen, mostly.
Okay,
Uh,
long story short, in this brochure that tells you what to prepare a pack in a situation of the war or disaster, whatever. You have to have some, clothes,
Oh my
medicine,
God, I
pills,
see
whatever.
it.
Yes. And in this package that you have to prepare for this 72 hours of survival, there are board games listed,
Oh my
and
God, I see it.
this is awesome.
Wow.
wow.
That is
Yeah,
a
Yep.
and
good
this
job, French government.
so this is literally in response to okay, um this
This
is
is to
literally
in
how to
response of Trump not fighting against Russia.
It's an extension. In 2018, the Norwegian government had put out a brochure called "In Case of Crisis of War," sent to families to describe what to do if there's a war. So for some reason now the French government has decided it's really important to tell people what to do in case there's war.
but it's an amazing package of things that you would expect to do, like medications, a radio, a multifunction knife and implements and flashlights and water
Yep.
and board games. It
And
says
board games to
games. It says
keep yourself
games.
from going crazy. It does.
Je. I
So
don't.
this is from Euro News. If anybody would like to follow up with it, it's from the website
Good
Euro
job, Bruno
News.
Catala, Bruno Faiduti. They did a good promotion of board games in France, right?
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Ignacy, for giving us a good news item here. That's very, very cool. All right.
So I don't want to downplay the CEO from Steve Jackson Games. So in short, Meredith Placco has left Steve Jackson to pursue her other company that she is a founder and owner of, which is Turbo Dork. And Turbo Dork is a miniatures painting company. So Meredith Placco has resigned as CEO of Steve Jackson and has moved on to focus more full time on her paint company, Turbo Dork.
That's very good. Good for Meredith. I'm sure that she'll be missed over at Steve Jackson Games. We haven't heard much about Steve Jackson recently, and how they're doing because they've always released their financials. I think that they're due to release financials again. They don't have to. It's one of those
Yeah,
companies that don't have to, but they do. It would be interesting to see what they come out with now in during these crazy times that we're living in.
absolutely.
And with that, let's do some quick strategy and tactics. All right, gentlemen, we are, of course, running long with all the amazing amount of news that we just did. But we're going to finish the Bill Anderson question that we've been working on. Literally, Bill gave us like this epic question of like 7 parts. And finally, we're at the last part of his question. And the last part of it, and by the way, Bill is at Nick603. So switching to one of my other personal loves, leadership and business consulting, the global board games market has experienced significant growth, with estimates indicating a market size of approximately 13 billion US dollars in 2023 and
Mm.
projections reaching 32 billion by 2032, exhibiting a CAGR, I love that term, a CAGR of 10.52% during the forecast period. CAGR is compounded annual growth rate. Considering this expansion, to what extent do traditional business leadership models apply to the game industry? Are there
I can
specific strategies from other markets that could be beneficial if implemented in the board game sector? And conversely, are there practices that might be detrimental if introduced? Bill, you ask Hard questions. I love
I
it.
can see Ignacy glazing over. So I
You
just
look,
want to throw up there, here's the cookie that I'm eating, Ignacy, just to wake you up a little bit. That is a thick cookie.
Corey,
Tell us about Kagger.
you eat too many bad food items. I'm just going to say that your diet is suspect. Um,
You're just jealous.
so I mean, he's saying that we're still in a growth. I mean, tariffs aside and global conflicts aside, we're still growing as an industry, and at better rate than most industries are growing. Um, how does traditional business disciplines apply to our industry? That's basically what he's saying. So I'll give my perspective, and you guys can comment. And I think Bill, and I think everybody out there, we're not that different. We're just not. You gotta put good business sense behind everything we do. And especially now with what we're seeing going on. If you sit back and say, this is a hobby, we're just gonna have fun, we're gonna play games, we're gonna throw some, make a few thousand games, try to sell them, you're being dumb. You gotta put good business sense behind everything you do in business life. We all have a passion for the gaming portion, but you need a passion for the business portion as well. That's my opinion. Ignacy, he's laughing here, but I think you're agreeing with me, though you're laughing at my using my hands as I talk.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that we saw because he's asking if strategies from different markets can be implemented. We clearly saw what happened over the past decade when Asmodee starts to grow with the influx of the money, with the influx of the high-level managers from different industries, because none of them these high-level managers at Asmodee were from different markets and how they were changing the whole model of distribution, etc., etc. So they implemented a lot of the high-level business solutions and grew Asmodee exceptionally. Like this company got like a rocket growth and now is absolutely major publisher. So yes, if you implement the best solutions of other industries, yes, you will grow. Yeah, absolutely.
Corey, without any of
Oh,
business
it's
experience whatsoever, would you like to comment?
a lot of this is
Oh my God.
over my head, out of my league.
You have no experience.
And the only thing that I'm going to add into here is yes, standard business models. The board game industry is famous for having creative people with excellent games who don't do business well. And oftentimes we have companies that are living hand to mouth. They have a game that they've pre-sold, and the money they make from that is the only thing keeping them surviving on the next game that they're making. So better
Yeah,
business
brutally
sense,
true.
better business models would help with that. Having
Right.
said that, right now we are worried about the state of our kitchen and whether the wallpaper matches while it's on fire.
It's a very interesting analogy. I don't know what the hell you just said, but
I
it's
want to
very interesting.
mention, I want to point out we are doing the best podcasting out there. Today's episode is absolutely amazing. I still wonder how we haven't won the Golden Geek Award.
I blame Steven.
Yeah, obviously it's me. I mean, because, oh, never mind.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we're running long. That was just a quick thing in strategy and tactics. Let's get down to play testing. All right, Corey. As usual, always your good questions come into play here. Um,
You
please
know,
tell
they're
us
making
what.
fun of the temp
No, no,
all the
no, no.
time for
First,
bad
no, no, no.
questions.
First, Steven must answer a question if he would play Spinderella.
What, Corey? Tell us what
The
last week's
question
question
this
was.
week, or the question last week, would you play a game themed around your worst fears?
Okay, so I didn't answer it last week because I was not here. One of the few episodes, I think my second episode I've ever missed, was
Lazy
last week.
bum.
Yes, because I'm lazy because I'm 14 hours at that time was different than you guys.
I will record at any hour.
The answer to the question, if it's literal, is
Yes.
No, I would not play a game about like tarantulas because yeah, it is a serious fear, and it's an irrational fear. Most phobias are irrational, right? But I would not. Spinderella, however, is a little cartoony spider, and it's not a big deal. So
And it is adorable.
I would obviously play Spinderella. Would I play something where like every card had like a different spider and they were like some of them were like 3 feet? No, 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 no. Plenty of other games out there. I don't need to test my hairy spider hand size fears. No, is my answer to this question. I don't even
And
want to play a
Ignacy
dominant.
said he'd
Hold on.
play Sky Team.
Well, it's a great game. So you know the game. I think it's Dominant Species, right? That's the one with all
Yeah,
the. That's got a
it's
spider in
got a
it.
pretty realistic spider,
It's
yes.
pretty gross. I don't want to play that game. So I think I played it once, and I'm like, ugh, ugh. But no, I'm not playing a arachnophobia the game. Thank you. So, Corey, but however, gentlemen, we did get plenty people talking about this.
Oh yeah.
Any favorite comments stick out?
I like,
Well, I
if I
like,
may start, okay?
yeah.
I like the Jacob Stein who said, I fear nothing.
Nice.
That's very reasonable way. It's like Aaron Pope wrote, definitely would play it. And the thought is twofold. One, I'm a mechanics over theme player. I kind of sit in that boat. The theme doesn't really sink in too much with me. And two, a major part of reasoning about fears is to face them. So there were quite a few responses about facing your fears, which I found interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
don't believe in
wish
it.
I wish I could face some of my fears. I
No, no,
can't.
after 10 years flying to Gen Con, I'm still afraid of flying. So this facing fears is not working.
Doesn't work.
And
Doesn't
Board
work.
Game Fangirl at Board Game Fangirl agrees with you and says, no, that would be Sky Team. I have a fear of flying. No way I'd ever play that game by a mile.
There you go.
I hear you. I hear you.
Brian
And see, the theme
Carroll.
doesn't sink into that level for me.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, the fact that you can abstract it more, but to me, I immerse myself in all of my themed games. So,
Sure.
um, I would immerse myself in my arachnophobia and be too scared. Brian
Okay, so I
Carroll.
have,
Yeah, go ahead.
can
Go
I have
ahead.
a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Uh, would you feel uncomfortable playing Dungeons and Dragons that has a much more immersion and you are visiting some cave and spiders
Oh,
and that
giant
would make
spiders
you
are a pretty
uncomfortable?
regular thing in D&D.
I have faced giant spiders in D&D and been completely freaked out by the entire situation. And basically, since I'm not seeing them necessarily right there, I power through it. I power through it.
I
I get
am
through it.
getting some props for when we meet a spawn of
No,
Mongolia
no.
in Lord of the Rings.
It's not cool to F with people's biggest fears. It's
I
just not
wouldn't, I
cool.
know you will. I wouldn't do that.
Don't do so that I threw a little gaming event, and one of the people I invited, Scott Brady. I'm calling him out. Scott Brady, there's a noted designer, lovely guy, my one of my best friends. He's like putting like plastic spiders on the tables as I'm like about to play a game. I
No, not
literally,
cool.
I wanted to punch him. Scott, don't do that.
I liked
Podcast is legendary.
at Bridge Guy 50 wrote, I have a fear of being stranded on an inhospitable island by myself or with a dog or maybe a few other people where dangerous animals abound, food, shelter, and other resources are scarce, where the weather is unpredictable and survival is fleeting. I just wish there was a game like that.
Yeah,
Very
maybe.
cool. I would like to read Brian Carroll since I've mentioned him now 5 times here. He said, absolutely, I do love immersive games because a strong theme, in my humble opinion, really makes the game memorable. I love games for the emotional experience of them, whether it be from the game itself or the interaction with the players or both. Both moments, those highs and lows, are what makes life worth living. Brian, I love this answer. You're right, but I'm not playing a game about arachnids. No spiders.
And I do want to say I've been very, aloof saying I'll play anything and theme doesn't matter. I hard time playing this war of mine. That is probably my worst
Yes.
fear, is just man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah.
And that game forces you into the immersion and the
Yeah.
theme, and it
Yeah.
is horrifying.
Yeah.
It is a brilliantly done game that I have nightmares about.
Yeah, but that is a game, while it is so hard, it evokes such incredible emotions with me. I played it once. I want to play it again. I want to experience that. That to me, that to me is an immersive, great experience. But I get it. Corey, I get it. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, that game. So. So
No,
what do
that's
we
a rough
have,
one.
Corey? You again keep coming up with these very interesting questions. This one is particularly dumb though. So why don't you tell us the question that you got for this week?
Well, this is certainly just a random thing that popped in my head and not anything that has ever come close to happening.
I love Ignacio's
Have
reactions to my comments.
have you ever accidentally eaten a game component at
Come
the
on,
table? I
dude,
mean, look,
dude.
you have bowls of meeples and cubes and M&Ms and other bits, and I okay, I will admit it. I will admit it. I have put many a game component in my mouth thinking it was a snack. I'm not sure I've fully consumed it. Take it as, the feeling of the question. You know what I mean. You've Someone out there has also put a game component in their mouth thinking it was a snack. And some of them look delicious. Come on, little squishy honey bits from Honey Buzz. Admit it, you want to eat those. The little squishy fruit from Everdell. They look great. So
So I
I
added
know it's a ridiculous question, but it crosses my mind.
it actually. Once you add the extra part, like have you, or at least place the game component in your mouth, thinking it was a component, thinking it was a a piece of food. I might have done this. I, I definitely did not eat it, but I might have like accidentally like at least brought it to my mouth. You know, like
Yep.
sometimes you think it's the bowl of M&Ms, and all of a
I've
sudden it's
truly bit down on a wooden cube
oh
for
my
sure.
God.
I can
Like,
I can imagine some player who is completionist and wants to have the everything intact and amazing, and he has this amazing promo meeple, and one of his friends is just accidentally eating this promo meeple, and this completionist player is just crying out like, "Oh my God, you ate my promo meeple that I bought on eBay for $200."
Now, let's see if
I have
anybody
not.
is being like a smarty pants about this because they made a chocolate version of Catan.
that doesn't count. If anybody listens to this,
It's not accidental.
yeah, oh, I'll eat chocolate Catan. That's different. I'll have to go buy another game. All right. Anyway, Ignacy, right now, he's going to go put this question in the guild on Board Game
Yes,
Geek.
I'm on it.
He's on it. And then he's going to put the link right there for me for next week. And we're asking you this question. Go to our guild on Board Game Geek and check it out and let us know what your answer. Have you ever eaten a component, or at least maybe came close to doing that? Let us know. And now, let's get to the final scoring. You hear my voice? I'm so tired after the even. I'm not even. Not less than a third of the way through this trip. A quarter of the way through the trip. I am so happily tired here in Southeast Asia. It's amazing. But everybody, thank you so much for listening, and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever you like to get your podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can go over to the guild, make sure you're a member, ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, and answer our questions to you from our playtesting segment. It's easy. We love to talk to you. Come on, do that with us. Interact with us also on social media, and the handle is the same across all the platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, where Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, Above Board TV, and Nerd About Show. Follow us on the social media of your choice, and note when you talk to that social media, when you interact, you're interacting with one of the three of us. Special call out, of course, to the YouTube channels, which are our bread and butter, and they are Portal Game Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. We would really love to see you in person at an upcoming convention. So hopefully you're at the Gathering of Friends. You'll see Corey. You're on this cruise and you're hanging out with me having a beer in the Brassenbach pub, or you're running through the streets of Poland with Ignacy. But I think the next convention that we'll get to after this is probably going to be, like Origins. I don't think we're going to any of the other smaller ones. Are anybody doing the UKG this year? No.
Not
Me
me,
not.
unfortunately.
No.
I will be at RageCon at
Oh,
the
that's a
end of
local one, but a pretty
June.
big one out there.
Reno Convention,
That's
RageCon.
pretty cool. In the meantime, Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you, Jake, for being part of the team. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Gentlemen, that was a great episode done from 24 time zones, basically. If Corey was in,
Why is it my fault?
no, if you were in the West Coast, we literally would have been almost at third points around the world, which is going to happen soon because
Yeah,
by the time you go back, and I'm going to still be floating across the ocean, we may be at like all points of the globe. It's going to be amazing. And do you know what?
you just crazy, man.
The most interesting thing about this cruise, I'm going to experience May 5th twice as I cross the international date line. I'm going to have Cinco de Mayo twice. Dos margaritas, por favor. Y cerveza. Oh, my Spanish is terrible.
Your language skills are just
Oh,
stunning.
my language skills are terrible. Oh, it's going to be epic. Everybody out there, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you later, everyone.